Assalamu alaikum and good greetings. So today we'll be watching a video titled Christian Reads Quran episode 11. This is by Dex Van de Wel. We have watched all the previous 10 episodes. All the links is in the description box below. Without further ado, let's watch.
What's up, everyone? My name's Dax. Welcome to this episode of Christian Reads Quran. If you don't know me and this channel, I like to compare Christianity and Islam, the two largest religions in the planet. And in this series, I, a Christian, am reading the Quran, the holy book of Islam, from front to back. This is episode 11. Welcome. So, in this episode, here's what you can expect. We're going to talk a little bit about the originator of heavens and the earth. Who created everything? Where did we come from? The classic question. We're going to talk about resurrection a little bit. What does resurrection mean in Islamic theology? What is going to happen at the end of time? What do Muslims actually believe about that? And also, we're going to talk about God having a son. Does God have a child or not? Surah 35. Surah 35 is called Fatir. Fatir means the originator. The surah
Fatir, right? Fatir. It's not Fatir, Fatir. But of course, it's quite, a challenge to transliterate every Arabic word into, making it pronounced accurately. So yeah, Fatir.
Surah comes from the Meccan period. And yes, the opening verse, it has the word originator in it. And the opening verse, Surah 35:1, talks about who created everything, right? As humans, we ask this question. Every worldview has to answer this question. Where did we come from? Where did humans come from? Where did the universe come from, if the universe came from anywhere at all? So this is Surah 35, verse 1. This is what it says. It says, "Praise be to God, Allah, originator of the heavens and the earth, who appoints the angels as messengers." So it's interesting. Something that stuck out to me in this opening line, originator of the heavens and the earth. So not just the earth, not just the physical world, not just the material universe, but also the heavens, which the heavens is basically what is immaterial, what is transcendent, right? Outside of the earth, there's this sort of there's spiritual beings that exist. It talks about angels at the end of this verse. So the originator, Allah.
It's not really at the end of the verse because he truncates the verse at the middle. But anyway, I'll just recite the whole verse, right? أعوذ بالله من الشيطان الرجيم بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم الحمد لله فاطر السماوات والأرض جاعل الملائكة رسلا أولي أجنحة مثنى وثلاث ورباع يزيد في الخلق ما يشاء إن الله على كل شيء قدير. So he pick up the first line of the 3-line verse.
In this context, the claim is that Allah created everything. He created the heavens, he created all the spiritual beings that are in the heavens, he created the earth and everything physical and every physical thing within the universe as well. So Allah is the originator of everything. The claim here in Islamic theology and the Quran is that Allah made everything. Now, there's some worldviews out there, like some atheists are naturalists, and naturalism is basically the view that everything that exists is material. So you have to conclude that material is eternal, or that the universe is eternal. And actually, science for thousands of years told us that that the universe is eternal. That is until the 20th century, we learned that the universe is not eternal. It actually came from somewhere. So a lot of religious folk, like Muslims and Christians, their presupposition was confirmed that yes, the universe came from somewhere. And of course, we would say that God is the one who created the universe. But not just that. Some atheists, they would say that the universe is eternal, but also there's some people who are pantheists. There's the religion of Hinduism, and so some Hindus would say that that the universe is just God. So the universe is eternal, but also because the universe is just God, and God is just eternal. So they would actually say nothing material exists. The earth is just pretty much an illusion, and everything physical and experience evil is just an illusion. Everything is actually just God. So basically what I'm trying to get at here is an observation. Christianity and Islam both believe that God created everything, seen and unseen. Everything finds its origin in God. Other worldviews like Hinduism, pantheism, atheism, naturalism, stuff like that, they would deny this. They would say that something is eternal, that the universe is eternal, or that the universe is just God, that sort of thing. But Christianity and Islam, and also Judaism, would say, no. All of this came from God. God is the only eternal thing out there, and everything else came from Him. All right, that was Surah 35. Surah 35, Fatir. With that being said, Surah 36 is...
Okay, I was waiting when he would actually include Judaism there, because those are the three religion actually that branch off from the same source. Hence, the core fundamental belief have big similarities, and many same many of the fundamental belief is the same basically.
Is Yasin.
Yasin.
So this is where I want to ask the question about resurrection. And I'm just wondering, what does resurrection mean in the religion of Islam? What does it mean that resurrection is going to happen at the end of days for believers? Like, how does that concept find its reality for you guys? But here's the thing. This verse stuck out to me. This is Surah 36, verse 33. It says, a sign unto them is the dead earth. So it's talking about a sign given to idolaters here, to non-believers. It says, a sign unto them is the dead earth. We revive it and bring forth grain therefrom, that they may eat thereof. So this verse, it's not specifically talking about resurrection at the end of time. It's used as a sign to idolaters that resurrection is possible. It says that though the earth may be dead, God can revive it. God can revive the earth, and he can bring forth grain from it. So God has these supernatural powers to do miracles. He can sort of reach into the universe and do something that we might not expect, like resurrection, like raising something from the dead. So this verse opens up the logical possibility of resurrection. But my question is specifically this. What will be resurrected at the end of time? This is something I didn't have time to look into further, but it's an honest question. Because, again, related to this verse, in Christian theology, we believe that believers will be resurrected. We will have a new resurrected body. The dead will come alive again. And then we also believe that the creation itself, that the earth will have a sort of resurrection itself. God will restore creation to what it was supposed to be before the fall, before sin entered into the world. And so we believe that we will be resurrected, that there will be this grand resurrection really for earth. And so there will be the new heavens and the new earth where we will live and enjoy God eternally. All right, that's the Christian worldview. But what I'm wondering here.
So is it just the believer who will be resurrected and the rest will be just the end? Because if that is the case, there's no punishment, right? It's just lost of reward. Is that accurate to say?
As it relates to Islam, is this: what will be resurrected at the end of time? Do you guys believe that the earth will also sort of be revived or restored? Do you believe heaven is coming to earth and the new heaven, new earth will be here? Do you believe heaven is just somewhere else and that the earth will just pass away and like disappear? Like, what is your guys' view? What do you actually think? What does resurrection mean to you? Are only believers going to be resurrected? And then, like, what happens with the rest of it? Like, these are just questions you can answer, you cannot. These are just questions that popped into my head. I'm like, I'm not sure. So I need to study some Islamic eschatology a little bit more to understand this stuff. But yeah, anyway, that was my question first.
So that question is not directly related to the verse. So we cannot actually answer with the verse he highlighted. It's just more of it trigger. It's like going off on a tangent, because it triggered that question, but it's not really from here. So I will leave my answer when we actually are referring to the verse, hence it's easier to because otherwise it's just based on memory, which is not that good. So it might be relaying something that is not accurate.
Surah 36. And next would be Surah 37, Al-Safat. Now I want to remind you,
As-Saffat.
if you made it this far, please wait till the end of this video. I have a really important update. I want you guys to catch it. Don't miss it. So stick around. But Surah 37, this surah comes from the Meccan period once again. And I wanted to comment on the idea of God having a son. Does God have a child? Yes, I've talked about this elsewhere, but I have a couple different thoughts on it that I want to talk about that popped up from this verse. This is Surah 37, 151, 152. So this verse is talking about idolaters. I don't know that it's talking about Christians. It doesn't say that, but it might be, because it makes sense that it would be. But anyway, this is what it says. It says, indeed, it is one of their outrageous fabrications to say Allah has children. They are simply liars. So it's saying that those who say Allah has children, a son or daughters, they are liars. That's what the Quran is saying here. Surah 37, 152. But my question from here.
Okay, so the verse first. أعوذ بالله من الشيطان الرجيم. ألا إنهم من إفكهم ليقولون ولد الله وإنهم لكاذبون. صدق الله العظيم.
Here is basically this. I've mentioned elsewhere that I believe God having a child or God having a son makes sense of God's revelation. What I mean by that is this. So as a Christian, I would say that we hold to all the prophets, the Torah, the Psalms, Gospel, from Abraham to Noah to Moses, like everything. We hold to them. What I mean by that is this. In the Old Testament, this is the Torah in Genesis, it calls angels sons of God. Then the nation of Israel is called the son of God. That's found in Hosea. Then the king of Israel is called son of God in 2 Samuel 7. And then in the Gospels, Jesus is clearly called the Son of God, especially throughout the Gospel of Mark. It's his most popular title. Jesus is the Son of God. So the title Son of God is incredibly common throughout the Torah, throughout the Gospel, throughout the prior revelations, as Muslims would say. Yet, here in the Quran, it clearly denies that Allah has any children.
How do you compare the two? Because I thought he says that the term is commonly used, which means that it is not understood as actual children or son, right? It's a term that is used to many different people, including Jesus, including is it sons of Israel just now? I forgot, but it's being used. So how does it bring that into this verse? Because this verse is not talking about a terminology that is commonly used. It's more of son. Waladullah. That's what they say. They said Allah have a son, walad, or children, right? So it's not about a terminology that is, you know, endearment, meaning that is not actually meaning son or children. I'm not sure how this is related.
In fact, it calls people liars who say that God has some sort of son or some sort of daughter. But
not some sort of. That's interesting. Why suddenly he says, as if this verse saying about some sort of, when it is saying explicitly.
my question is, why don't Muslims agree with the prophets on God having a son?
So is he saying that the prophets that saying God have son in the terminology, or in the sense that, you know, not just about Jesus, but many good people, many prophets, etc., is being called Son of God? Is he under the understanding that this verse is contradicting that? That's weird way of understanding. That's the first time I have come across someone that put this verse where Allah says Allah do not have a son, do not have any children, against verse that is using the term in more general meaning. This is bizarre. This is the first time I find what he's saying is so bizarre as such.
Now, obviously, I know what Muslims are going to say. I've been doing this for a little bit. Like many of you will say, well, I don't believe that the prophets actually said that. You'll say that that they became corrupted, or that, we no longer can trust the Torah, gospel, that sort of thing. We'll talk about that another time. But still,
no, I don't need to go there, because the meaning itself, as I mentioned, is not related to the verse in the Quran.
Here, it seems that from what we have access to, Son of God, sons of God, especially applied to Jesus, like this is what the prophets articulated. And I would say that without a doubt. I'll defend that another time for sure. But I see that in the Torah, we see that in the Gospel. Son of God is really common title. And then all of a sudden, the Quran, the final revelation, says, no, there is no son. God.
This is interesting. What do you think about this? Because I'm trying to understand what's the perspective that he's coming from. Because on one hand, it's about a common term. That's not just about Son of God in the Trinity. It's like, you know, all those people are Son of God. And then suddenly you want to say that this verse in the Quran actually going against that generic, more general term. So weird. I cannot really understand how he says things in this point.
God has no children, and if anyone says so, they are a liar. To me, this seems like some sort of weird inherent contradiction within Islam, because you guys say that you believe in the prophets, but when you go to the prophets, the Torah, Gospel, Psalms, etc., they say Son of God. They say Son of God as if God clearly has this child. It's a clearly part of theology. But then the Quran comes along, Islam comes along and says, no, we reject that. That's not true, which seems to clearly contradict what came before. And so, for me, I think that one of the main reasons that's stopping me from concluding that the Quran is from God is because it denies this reality that I think the other prophets clearly affirm. And obviously, if the prophets aren't confirming each other, there's a problem here, right? We should reject probably the final one that's contradicting the ones that went before. And so my question here is, why don't Muslims agree with the prophets on God having a son? Now, you might say, well, I reject those. I don't think we have the Torah gospel anymore. You might argue, well, Son of God is used differently there, and so I reject some of it, but not all of it. Just want to throw this question out there, see what you guys would have to say about it. But with that being said,
When he says Son of God mean differently there, does he, or is he someone from the Christian belief that all of those Son of God throughout the Bible is actually literally Son of God? You know, because the way he says it, as if those who are saying that no, it's just the word of endearment, right? When many of those people are being called Son of God, you know, they are close to God. Is he of the opinion that no, you shouldn't understand it that way, but it's actually Son of God? That is interesting if that is the case.
Really, really important update. So thanks for sticking with me in this video and in this series if you've made it this far. But really important Christian Reads Quran series update. So here's the thing. There will only be one more episode of Christian Reads Quran. One final episode of this series. So let me explain why. I started the series, and I told you guys honestly, I want the series to be about truth. I want to base my life on truth. I want you to base your life on truth. My hope is that Christians and Muslims, that we can push each other closer toward truth by evaluating evidence and claims and etc. But this series has gotten to a point where this series is actually holding me back from getting closer to the truth. What I mean by that is that there's so many topics that I really want to study. There's so many topics that I want to dive deeper into. There's so many books that I want to read that you guys have recommended. There's so many videos that I want to watch that you guys have sent me and recommended. And I need more time to study these things. Even some of you have commented, and I think you guys are right in this, by the way. Some of you have commented on these videos saying, Dax, I feel like you need to take more time to study some of these surahs. You need to take some more time to study some of these topics and ideas. And I totally agree, but I need more time to do that. So here's what I want to do. I'm going to make one final video of this series. I'm going to, for the next 3 to 4 weeks, I'm going to take a break from every couple weeks doing these videos. I'm going to read the rest of the Quran. I'm already over halfway, and I just have like little surahs left. So I'm going to finish the Quran, and then I'm going to make one final video. Christian read the Quran, and then I'll give you all of my honest thoughts and impressions from reading the Quran front to back. And lastly, you might say, okay, so what is next? What comes up after Christian Reads Quran? Basically this. I have books, I have resources that you guys have recommended. For one, I'm about to start this book, Muhammad. It's a biography on his life from Martin Lings. Some of you recommended this. So I'm excited to start making more videos about Muhammad, about who he was, understanding the context around his life a little bit more. Other than that, I want to do a series comparing the Bible and Quran, the reliability of both, can we trust them, and of course, testing scientific claims in them and whatnot. And then also I want to make a series comparing the Trinity and Tawheed, Jesus being God. Like, there's all these topics that I want to go deeper into. So I'm going to make one final episode, Christian Reads Quran, and then we can start hopping into more specific examples and topics and whatnot. So with that being said, if you've enjoyed this series at all, please.
Okay, yeah, so that's it. Interesting. There's not much of the discussion that is triggered by this video, except for that one that I commented where I do not understand how he understand the verse about, you know, those saying that Allah have children or sons, to compare to the general use of Son of God in the Bible. And yeah, that's my only. I feel that it is kind of detached between, you know, what the verse is saying and how he relate to the Bible. I'm not sure. Yeah, so I'll be waiting for a more, I guess, specific topics where he will be touching upon in the future. So until then, see you next time.